So last night I literally had jitters trying to go to sleep because I've got a new piece of equipment that I'm getting ready to try on the job. I've already used it in some ball field jobs and it works fantastically. Of course, I already know what's going to happen. I already know I've been around equipment long enough to know how this is going to pan out. But it's just something about getting a new piece of equipment. And the night before you've got a job, and in today's case, it's a 2,000 foot long driveway, which is a pretty big job. You just get excited. I get excited when it's time to use this stuff. So I'm Pete with GCI Turf. Do a lot of different type of lawn care work, and one of those is we do gravel driveway restorations. And we'll take you along today, show you what I do, and show you this new piece of equipment right here, and really want to go over some details on the differences between a hydraulic box blade and a traditional 3-point lift box blade. For those of you that don't know, the box blade is this big box. It's shaped like a box right here, and it cuts. It's got a cutting edge in there. It cuts and pulls material, grades material. A traditional box blade would hook up to your 3-point hitch on the tractor, which is these two arms. It's one arm, two arm, and then there's a third one up there that's not connected. That makes it a 1, 2, 3-point hitch. Biggest difference right off the bat is the 3-point hitch box blade is going to float. Of course, it doesn't have a way to lock in and set, because this, I don't know if the other tractors would, but the John Deere, you can't lock in your 3-point. And even if you were able to do that, this back tire is fixed, but the front tire could go up and down with elevation changes, therefore raising and lowering the box blade in the rear, which is not going to give you a tight grade. I see a lot of jobs done with box blades and they're real wavy. That's the reason why, because the 3-point typically follows the grade. That doesn't mean you can't get something nice and tight and flat with a box blade. You just have to know exactly what you're doing with it. With a hydraulic box blade, you have a fixed point right here where it's connected to the tractor, and the next fixed point is these tires back here, which will be on the ground. Where you have an even plane between this point and that point, and you're able to control this box up and down hydraulically. You see the hydraulic cylinder right there. That way you're able to grade and cut and feel and drag much more consistently and get a much more tight surface using this style grader. And of course this one I got the option where the tilt, so this side over here will tilt all the way down, or you can tilt it all the way up. So the entire box, you can run it level or left and right. Like if you're putting a crown in a driveway, you can tilt it one way, that way, or vice versa. So that's the main differences between the two. Let's get going down the road and let's get in the tractor and get to work. All right, so we're all set up, ready to go, unloaded, and first thing I do is drop my rippers to the lowest setting they can go. And I'm not going to barrel down through here wide open. Low gear, 4-wheel drive. This is a lot of meat I'm pulling with this tractor, and I need to go slow the first pass to check the driveway out, make sure there's nothing accidentally buried or whatever. Of course, I do check with the homeowner every single time, find out where the cross drains are, the cross lines, or culvert, whatever you want to call it. And then also find out if there are any lines buried, power lines, cable line, internet line, anything like that. I do know I have 2 underground pipes I need to be aware of. I know where they're at, so I'll kind of lift up a little bit and not go quite as deep there. Just don't want to risk it. And as far as cables and lines going the driveway, there's nothing. So let's get at it. to really set my depth, to micromanage. I'm really trying to micromanage my depth so that I'm not digging too deep. But I do want to go as deep as I can go and pull up as much material as I can pull up. This is a 2,000 foot long driveway, so it's a pretty good one. I think I want some longer rippers than this so that I can rip without the blade actually coming in contact with the ground, so I can loosen and then grade. I mean, right now it's grading and loosening at the same time, which isn't bad, but there's some cases where I would want to just rip as opposed to grading and ripping at the same time. Well, you'll never guess this, I just lost my GoPro back there. Oops. So here's a downfall of a hydraulic box blade, is maneuverability. You lose some of that because the attachment is separate from the tractor. It's not hooked up to the 3-point hitch, so you just can't whip it around like you would normally do. Trying to cut this pothole out at the end of the driveway. Well, one of the a big advantage of this is I can pull a lot of material at one time, a lot. So if I pile this up, you know, kind of get it out of the way so I can work my area, then I can bite it one time and move the entire pile of material back over. Be a little bit harder to do that with a 3-point box blade. Of course, I've got my front bucket that I can use as well. I'm probably going to use that in a minute. And while you're backing up doing this, you have to pay attention to your box blade because it will twist and turn on you. That's another disadvantage. But overall, I think the advantages are far outweigh the disadvantages, you know, for what I do. You know, that's the thing. You buy equipment based on what you do, not what Pete does, right? Now, all I'm doing is just knocking this hump down and flattening it out. I'm actually going to back the box blade in the road and set it down flush with the road. That way I can cut it dead tight. I just want to get this main part. I just want to get this main hump knocked down first. So now I've got my rippers all the way up. That way I'm cutting with nothing but the flat edge of the cutting blade. And I'm going to pull right off the edge of the pavement. That way they'll have that perfect, smooth transition. Alright, well keep me in mind. Let me know if anybody asks who done it. Send them my way.
Alright, will do.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Good work.
Yes, sir. That right there's my kind of people. Laid back country folks. Ain't got a care in the world. Treat you right. Honest, straightforward. Want to help you in any way they can. That's the kind of people I like. So now I'm just putting the finished grade on it, tightening it up. This one will be in the books. Alright, so that's a wrap. Just got done 2,000 feet long, and I got here at 9:30-ish. 12:30, so 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12. About 3 hours to do 2,000 feet long. Actually, I think it's a little bit longer than 2,000. I think it's more like 2,200 roughly. But it looks good now, nice and slicked down. All the potholes are ripped up, ruts are gone, and again, my thoughts on a hydraulic box blade. I just think it's better. It just comes in handy a lot more. It's got its downfalls with it being a little bit bigger and bulky. I actually had the manufacturer make me a drawbar, the pull bar, 2 foot shorter, and I'm expecting to get that any day now. So this is a 5 foot pull bar, and I'm gonna switch it over to a 3 foot pull bar, just see if it's a little easier to move around and maneuver and that kind of thing. And it'll give me a little bit more space on my trailer if I ever need it. And you know, another downfall to a hydraulic box blade is you can't pull things to the middle like you would with an angled scrape blade. And I've got that on my bucket list, is to get a really, really nice heavy duty one. And I want one with the tail wheel on the back so you can gauge the depth. If they made a 3-point box blade with a depth gauge where you could set the depth like I do on this one, then yeah, it might be a different story. But again, I bought this thing originally to move heavy amounts of clay on ball fields, and then, you know, obviously for grading large areas of yard, you know, residential customers or commercial or whatever. If it's really big and I need to cut and move a lot of material, I got a way to do it. I just want to try this out on a driveway and see how it works, and it works fantastic, but I don't think it's ideal. Ideal is going to be a 3-point scrape blade with hydraulic angle and, you know, hydraulic tilt and that kind of thing, and then you can add sides to it to close in the blade to make it a box, and it needs a tail wheel on the back so you can set the depth to cut grade. So I'll get one of them sooner or later. So, appreciate you watching. Check you later.